Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, this is 2007's The Morgue. 2007's The Morgue. And we have the front there. Let me try to get that front for you. And it has a little tagline at the bottom, "Where the Dead Live." Right there. This is the back of this DVD. This is an interesting movie, very unknown. You get it, I believe, for some pretty cheap prices, but this was distributed by Lionsgate, put on DVD here. And the interesting thing is that Heather Donahue from the original Blair Witch Project is in this film, and she has top billing right there, you can see, although she is not the lead character in the film. And we have really a film here that I would say nobody's really talking about. So let's get into this film, The Morgue, from 2007. Lionsgate, and this is shot on film right here. And I don't know if there was any theatrical release for this. It seems like it was, I don't know. It seems like it was direct to DVD. I'm not sure. If there was a theatrical release, I guess it was quick. If you know anything about it, please put it in the comments down below. I do have some notes here, so you might see my eyes divert. So let's get into The Morgue. Now, this was directed, I just want to make sure I get the right, this was actually directed by two people, Halder Gomes and Gerson Sanganito. And it was also produced by two people. And we have the composer Perry Lamarca, and the screenplay was done by two people as well. And the original story was also done by one of those two people. So there are some foreign names here, like Naja Ann Aldori. So very interesting creators to this film. So let's and probably just an exotic background. So let's get into this film here, folks. When I look at the music for The Morgue, and this is something I always say, the music will signify the style of the film oftentimes. And we have orchestrated music in this film. Now, the orchestrated music plays with tones, where sometimes the orchestrated music is dramatic, sometimes it's lighter horror, has modern edges to it, and then other times a darkness, a late night darkness. And then there's a classical piece in the music that takes on a whole other meaning as you get to the climax of the film. And almost in a fourth wall busting out, now that I'm thinking about it right now, there's a piece of orchestrated music in the film that I think is already an established piece of music, a classical piece of music that's utilized in the film in a very dark manner to me whenever I hear it. Almost reminding me of the way old-time music is used in Kubrick's The Shining. But the way that piece of classical music takes on another meaning by the end of the film is actually quite chill-inducing, and in the way that it could be fourth wall busting as the movie the way we typically view score. The way we typically view score is that it is for the viewer, it is not for the actors, correct? Okay. So there's a bit of a play on that as well. The music in here, the orchestrated music in here, the score in here plays with different tones within the horror genre. What kind of horror is this? At times the music signifies something lighter, something more playful, almost something that you would hear in maybe a modern type fantasy film. And then other times darker. And as I said, late night and mysterious. There's all different vibes going on here. Some shock cues, some running cues, some kind of you know, just horror type cues in the modern sense. And so you have all these different worlds within the score that represent the different worlds within the style, I believe. Now, the style of this film, there's very complex editing in this movie because there is a storyline that takes many different facets here. I believe it's intelligent, it's creative in the editing and in the revelations within the editing and the revelations within the complexities of the storyline, so on and so forth. We have, I mean, this was actually shot in a real mortuary. As I stated before, it was shot on film. And we have an aspect of, you know, we're using real locations here in a real mortuary, I believe in LA, and there's these really kind of mysterious tracking shots down the hallways of the morgue. I mean, you can't replicate, I mean, a real mortuary. You know, at times it reminded me of that type of thick atmosphere of phantasm and of One Dark Night, I believe it's called. One Dark Night. And, you know, kind of that really utilizing the entire atmosphere, you know, the hallways. There's religious paintings, there's religious sculptures that are flashed with the editing, and we have fades and flashes with religious iconography, and we're playing here because revelations will happen. This is a film of twists and revelations. And so for the beginning of the film, as we don't have things revealed, we are playing with a sense of the surreal. We're playing with a sense of the unknown. The idea of confusion equals horror. The unknown equals horror. The surreal equals horror, okay? We have the aspect of the film taking place predominantly in one night. Very, very unique and interesting. Some plays at times, it reminded me almost in pieces, I don't want to describe specifically how, but in regards to the Night of the Demons remake and the sense of the surreal and the sense of time. There's almost like an old Dark House vibe to this film because we have a bunch of characters one night. They're not in a house, they're in a morgue. Okay, we have a groundskeeper who's there all night, a mysterious background, and revelations will happen to him. As a matter, revelations will happen about him as well, and some things that I thought about like an hour after I watched the film. Some things that, some more things that were kind of tying together in the twists of the movie. The Morgue is a film that utilizes storyline aspects that other films have utilized, have played within the horror genre. I can't think of those films offhand right now, but I believe in our modern world, it's something that happens more. Now, I don't know the place of this film within that world. I'm being very vague here, folks. Within that world, you know, for 2007, I actually first saw this in 2009 and then just revisited it again. And you know, I will say that the revelations were quite jarring to me. I really didn't understand or really know what was going on, and everybody's different. I tend to be somebody who is just completely, you know, bowing down to the feet of the movie when I watch a movie, and really just unaware of where I'm being taken. The lead actress in this film is amazing. I loved her. She reminded me of a modern Anne Ryman. Anne Ryman, the lead in Paul Bartel's 1972 Private Parts, which I've looked at on this YouTube page as well, so please check that out. It's one of my favorite films of all time. The girl in here, the lead girl, reminded me of a modern Anne Ryman. Her acting is superb, especially in the climax of the film. The climax of the film, where tones within the horror genre are being played with throughout the life of the film. It's really within the climax of the film that there are some huge tonal shifts that bring, that really you get to see this modern Anne Ryman. I believe her name is Lisa Crilly. You really get to see her enter into some new levels of acting as this film goes on. Now, Something I have to state here is that the morgue really deals with a darkness in the implications and definitions of the reality of death. This was something that I found truly disturbing. Now, this is an R-rated film. It says it's R-rated for violent content, disturbing images, and language. Okay, it's not a hard R. Okay, but we do have violent content. We don't have like really gore. We don't have gore in this film. But we have violent content, and we have, I would say, disturbing tones. And one of those the most disturbing thing to me in this film are the implications and definitions of the reality of death. Okay, that was very, very disturbing to me, and it just, for some, it really, really made me think, to be honest. Very disturbing tones in the film. Kind of an oppressiveness, especially in the climax of the film. There were aspects of the film that reminded me of that film House of the Devil. The lead girl in there, who's now in a bunch of commercials, by the way. I've seen her in a lot of commercials. That House of the Devil from Ty West. And we have relationships in this film as well, and all the relationships seem to have a bit of darkness as well. I love the aspect that this is an all-night-long movie in one location primarily. If you've watched a lot of my videos when it comes to horror films in particular, I love one night, like Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I love that one night aspect. We also have a lot of architecture within this morgue in the film, lots of different rooms, bathrooms, offices. It's late at night within this morgue, so there's no activity in there. Okay, we have an emptiness. We have people working after hours at the morgue, in a janitor, kind of a all-night caretaker or groundskeeper, or like security man. And there's something just very the emptiness and all the different rooms. It reminded me of the film Clue, which I love. I love all the different rooms. In many regards, it was really acting like an old dark house type vibe, but within a morgue, as I mentioned, which was a really interesting mix-up there and mixture. This is I'm guessing a lower budget film here, 84 minutes long, that really deals with a bit of complexity. We have, a lot of creativity, a lot of in-depth aspects and crossing T's and everything within the storyline and the twists and the turns. We have almost a giallo-like answers or connections that are being revealed at the end of the film. And I would say there's a lot of disturbing aspects of the film. Just, I guess, when you think about things, when you think about life and reality and things like that. This is The Morgue from 2007, and this is distributed by Lionsgate. It kind of had, like the original the older Lionsgate logo is on here and everything, because I always remember that from the original. I have the original DVD of House of a Thousand Corpses, and it was kind of like that old Lionsgate. And Lionsgate was putting out a ton of horror for a period of time as well. So here it is, folks. Where the Dead Live, The Morgue, 2007. Thank you so much for watching the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page, where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more, like 2007's The Morgue. Thank you so much. Please feel free to check out my own personal films at youtube.com/poopy diarrhea. That's POOPY diarrhea. Thank you so much, and good night.